The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
So today, we've got three topics we want to talk about today. So I want you to stick around. I think you'll find these interesting. We're going to talk about this double whammy, two possible hurricanes that are coming up from the south. That is actually, this is a pretty big deal. We actually have some more third temple news that we want to bring to you, and we'll talk about that, what that means. And then we'll talk about an insect plague. I know everybody's focused on the coronavirus, but there is insects that are destroying not only livestock, but crops and so on and so forth. So let's get after it today. I want to, again, welcome. First of all, we want to welcome everybody to the broadcast. We recognize that there will be folks that will be jumping on here today that's never been here, or maybe this is your first time. We want to welcome you to the broadcast. Again, I'm Ricky Scapero, the founder, the pastor, and the voice of End Time Headlines. And if this is your first time joining us or listening, however it may be, please let us know below under the comments section, whether it be Facebook Live or YouTube or whatever the case may be, so that we can acknowledge you are coming on today. And we welcome you. Let us know what state you're joining from, your location, outside the United States, whatever it is. And again, I just want to thank all of our regular viewers for jumping on here today on this Friday afternoon as we close out this week. And I think we're going to have some interesting topics today. So again, as you see on your screen here on YouTube and on Facebook Live, you see where it says prophetic viewpoint. That's what we're doing today. This is our prophetic viewpoint. We take different topics, different subjects, different headlines, and we discuss those on our podcast and on this broadcast, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get after it today. We want to officially welcome our podcast audience, our YouTube audience, and our Facebook Live audience. We've got three stories lined up today. The first story is a developing story. For the first time, listen to this. This headline caught my attention from the Weather Channel today. For the first time since the Great Depression, not the first time ever, but the first time since the Great Depression. Now think about the significance of what is happening right now in the world. Many economists, financial experts have been warning that we are on the precipice of another Great Depression. And here we have now it's a tropical storm. They were two tropical disturbances or systems. One of these is now we know of as Tropical Storm Laura, that is scheduled to affect the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands as a tropical storm with rain, gusty winds by this weekend. However, this system may then head up towards Florida and the Gulf of Mexico by early next week, possibly as a hurricane. However, here's the headline that grabbed my attention, and you can see that here on your screen. It is possible that two tropical systems could make landfall simultaneously in the mainland of the United States at the same time, which again has not historically happened. The last time this has happened was during the Great Depression. The system is facing uncertainty. However, weather experts say that this happening is a, quote, rare occurrence. Again, a rare occurrence. And the last time it took place was on September 5th, 1933, which, by the way, was during the Great Depression. And it was a Category 3 hurricane made landfall at Brownsville, Texas during the same hour. A tropical storm moved ashore at Cedar Key, Florida, according to Colorado State University tropical scientist Phil Klotzman. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. So this is an interesting development. So it is 2020. Again, we talk about this every week. How many more bizarre things can happen in 2020? Well, hang on and buckle up and get ready for the ride, because I told you, we're in August still. We still have September, October, November, and December. We still have 4 months of this crazy year to go. And we don't even know what 2021 is going to bring. And I pray that what 2021 brings is not going to make us miss this year. How terrible would that be? So again, if you're just joining us, there is a tropical storm, Laura, and another, at this point, a tropical depression that forecasters believe will eventually turn into a tropical storm as well. Both could turn up being a hurricane, and both could make landfall in the U.S. simultaneously, which has not happened since the Great Depression. So just chew on that for a minute. That is, to me, that's intriguing. It's very interesting. But I want to move on to another story that I think for all you Bible prophecy folks that like to deal with Bible prophecy and keep up with the signs of the times, keep up with the news coming out of Israel, keep up with the things dealing with Jerusalem. A new report coming out of Israel is sparking excitement among many who are anticipating the arrival of a third temple in Jerusalem. By the way, if you want to know where that's mentioned in the Bible, it's Revelation chapter 11. I don't have that with me, but it's Revelation 11. It talks about a temple in the future in the book of Revelation. New information coming out. According to a report from Breaking Israel News, an ancient species of grapes that were used over 3,000 years ago in the original temple in Jerusalem has just been revived in Hebron. I want to say that again. Grapes, this particular type of grapes that was not used since 3,000 years ago during the time of the original temple has now been revived in Hebron. Now, why is this exciting? Why is this a big deal? Why has this made headlines? Because again, you guys know this, most of you guys know this, there is a push from the Jewish Sanhedrin, from Jews there in Israel. There is they've even raised up high priests for this. They are raising up all the rituals, the instruments, the furniture, the whole 9 yards. They are going to reenact, and they're pushing not only the reenactment of animal sacrifices, but they're pushing for the creation of a third temple in Jerusalem. And now they're saying that this latest news is just one more step towards the fulfillment of their ambitions. According to Breaking Israel News, these grapes are two species of grapes mentioned in the Talmud. This species of grapes are indigenous to the Hebron area, according to the site's inventor. King David originally discovered these grapes in Hebron, and the vineyard that he is reviving them is in the adjacent town locally there in that region of Hebron. Again, this is just one of many recent events that has transpired that are paving the way to the arrival of the third temple in Jerusalem. Again, Revelation chapter 11. That's your reference to that. Now, this comes as we also broke another story, I believe it was on Monday or Tuesday, of a rabbi by the name of Azariah Ariel. Azariah, I believe, Azariah or Azariah, I don't know how you pronounce that, Ariel. This rabbi recently, according to sources, traveled to a quote, undisclosed ranch in Israel to lead the Temple Institute's effort to raise a red heifer. That's what you see on your screen on YouTube and on Facebook Live. Again, I'm going to say that again. This rabbi recently traveled to an undisclosed ranch in Israel to lead the Temple Institute's efforts to raise a red heifer. Why? Again, why is he doing this? For the performance of the commandment of producing the purifying ashes of the red heifer needed for the temple. Now, again, you got to go back in your Old Testament. They would take the ashes of a red heifer. This was part of the ritual. This was part of the routine. And again, That which was is that which shall be. There's no new thing under the sun. This is history repeating itself. Again, and guys, don't bark at me and start preaching to me about we don't need animal sacrifices. We don't need the ashes of red heifer. We don't need a third temple. We don't need all these things because Jesus fulfilled the law and he, et cetera, et cetera. So, listen, I know that, you know that, but there is a group of individuals in Israel. There's a lot of individuals in Israel who are not messianic, meaning they don't understand, they don't have a revelation that Jesus Christ is the Mashiach, the Messiah. Therefore, the Messiah that they're anticipating, I believe, is not the same Messiah of the Bible. I believe there's going to be a great sweeping descent. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but this is just my theory. Everybody has one. But I believe that the Messiah, that these mystic rabbis, what do I mean by mystic? They delve themselves in mysticism. That they live and die by the Talmud and by the Old Testament law, and they don't have a revelation. They don't have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So they are not looking for the same Messiah as you and I are. So therefore, I believe most of these individuals are going to be greatly deceived when their quote unquote Messiah arrives, and their Messiah is what I believe is going to be the Antichrist that Paul mentions in Thessalonians. Remember, because even Daniel talked about this, Matthew talked about this, Paul talked about this, that this Antichrist will invade where? The temple in Jerusalem. He will set his headquarters up there. He will declare himself as God, and he will have a mass following. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But nevertheless, according to sources, this rabbi recently inspected the current red heifer candidates and shared their status. One of the two more mature candidates is still very viable. Now, again, in case you were wondering, this red heifer thing, this has been going on for years, guys. They have been seeking this pure red heifer for years and years and years. And there was even reports that they had found one. The two new candidates were born in the early months of 2020, and they are currently viable. The ordinance of the red heifer is described in the Bible. This is the ritual law that Yahweh has commanded. Instruct Israel to bring a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect and on which no yoke has been laid. That's Numbers 19, verse 2. Again, according to Breaking Israel News, the purifying power of the ashes of the red heifer possesses the ability to overcome the spiritual impurity contracted via physical contact with a corpse or cadaver. And again, this is the lack of understanding or ignorance of the Messiah. Jesus came and fulfilled that. So again, that's what we're trying to help you understand. So there is a huge prophetic significance to this. While they are anticipating and excited about trying to push for this third temple, we as believers understand that there is one who is coming, who's going to set up his headquarters in the temple in Jerusalem for 3.5 years. And the Bible calls him the Antichrist. So you need to pay attention to that and keep that in mind, because I believe we're getting closer and closer and closer to the fulfillment of what Paul talked about in Thessalonians. Now, I want to move on to our last subject. So keep your eye on Israel, because they are the fig tree. They're the prophetic timepiece. But while everyone is preoccupied with the coronavirus, elections, civil unrest, and everything else that's going on in the nation and even around the world, we're seeing forest crops and livestock being devoured by everything from locust plagues, beetles, lanternflies, and ticks. Not just Africa that's being threatened by locust plagues, but now we have mountain pine beetles, no bigger than a grain of rice, that have, listen to this, reportedly destroyed 15 years of log supplies in British Columbia, and enough trees, that's enough trees to build 9 million single family homes. Think about that. The beetles are also chewing through forests in Alberta and the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, an outbreak of spruce beetles is threatening to devour even more trees in North America. Just as similar pests are decimating supplies in parts of Europe, creating a slew of dead and dying logs. Why is this happening? Some experts say it's because of the lack of warmer winters, because typically as we get the harsh, cold winters, it kills off a lot of the insects and it prevents them from being problematic. However, because of the warmer winters, these insects are thriving and destroying swaths of the world's timber supplies that may eventually spur shortages for the global housing market. Great. That's all we need. So we've got coin shortages, we've got canned goods shortages, we've got food shortages. Now we're going to have wood and supply shortages. Hello, can somebody say famine or plague or pestilences? All right, that was mentioned in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21 as signs of the coming of the Lord. Meanwhile, here in the United States, officials in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey have all been sounding the alarm about the spotted lanternfly. Have you guys heard about this? We posted this week on End Time Headlines. In fact, multiple counties in New Jersey alone were recently placed under quarantine, not because of the coronavirus alone, but because of an invasive insect that is native to China and South Korea. That's the lanternfly, and is posing a risk of more than 70 plant species, including fruit trees, vegetables, and vines. Well, guys, it doesn't take long to figure out. So here you have a threat to lumber and supplies to build homes and businesses, but now you have fruit trees, vegetables, and vines and vineyards now at risk. So the food supply, the economy, lumber, this and that, it's just like things just keep culminating and adding up week after week after week. And then there's what's called this invasive Asian longhorn tick. Actually, this tick is actually known for killing livestock and carrying disease-causing pathogens that were recently discovered in Ohio, of all places, and found on a stray dog in one county in Ohio. And by the way, they just found the plague was just discovered in California for the first time in 5 years. I believe it was a young boy in California. We reported that news too. This tick is native to parts of Eastern Asia, but has since made its way to other countries, including Australia, New Zealand, and the United States. This species of tick can potentially be fatal to animals. According to one state veterinarian, Asian longhorn ticks have the ability to spread a cattle disease that can cause symptoms of anemia and even death in affected hosts. So again, more threats to the food supply. You had meat shortages because of the coronavirus. Now you have a pestilence, a plague of such that's hitting and affecting livestock. I'm going to give you this quote from this veterinarian. Quote, "This pest is especially fatal to livestock, so producers should practice preventative measures and be on the lookout for this new threat." Again, this is according to Tony Forshee, DVM state veterinarian. Again, sounding the alarm on this. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about more birth pangs, more events that are just accelerating and unfolding. So again, if you live in the United States, you live in Florida, you live in Texas, you live in New Orleans, you live in South Carolina, you live in North Carolina, you live anywhere down there that's in the crosshairs of this thing, you have got not one, But now you've got two potential threats coming simultaneously. Could make history. Could. We're going to see how it plays out. All of our prophecy lovers dealing with Israel and been keeping up with the third temple. Two major signs came out this week that we just discussed on this program. And lastly, it's not just an unseen plague that is wreaking havoc, but now we're seeing strange insects. Come on, Asian hornets, weird ticks, lanternflies. I mean, what other kind of weird things are going to transpire or come or develop? So this is, again, why do we do this? Because, again, and Jesus said in Luke 21:28, he said, when you begin to see all these things come to pass, he said to look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. So again, I wanted to bring you these headlines today. I know we wanted to get on here more than what we did this week, but again, we are still in this transitional period, and we're going to be in this for a few more months, guys. So again, I just hope that you guys bear with me, but we're going to try to put these segments on as much as possible. I have a lot of segments lined up that I'm trying to squeeze in week after week, and we're going to get those to you as soon as we can. But we appreciate you coming on here, taking the time to do that. And again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. That's going to be our landing page. We appreciate you guys going to the main website and subscribing to our daily digest. If you guys, instead of getting a daily digest in your email, if you are smartphone savvy or you have a tablet, again, our official ETH app is available on Android and Apple. You can download that for absolutely free. Please don't forget to do that when you get off here today. Go download that app, get it into your hands. You can keep up with all of our news and headlines from a prophetic perspective, as well as our latest messages, podcast, YouTube. Everything we have in our ministry is going to be right there, and it's going to be available to you on our official app. And as always, we want to give you an opportunity, guys, to either whatever the Lord puts upon your heart. If you've been blessed, encouraged, and informed by our ministry on a week after week basis, whether it be here on podcast, whether it be watching by Facebook Live or by YouTube, and you want to be a blessing back to us, you want to help us to remain strong, you can do that by visiting our main website at endtimeheadlines.org or endtimeheadlines.com. You can go to our app. At the very bottom of the app, to the far right, you're going to see a place where it says donate. You can click there and you can give electronically, or you can give by check or money order, and you could do that at the address that you guys see on the screen. For you guys that don't see that on podcast, I want to read that again. Those who wish to make checks or money orders out to our ministry to help support us, you can do that at End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391. That's Monroe, Georgia, and that's 30655. So again, guys, as always, we appreciate you taking the time out to come on here and listen to what we have to say today, to inform you, to equip you, and to edify you. I know for all of you guys that always, we get messages all the time, and we're like, Brother Ricky, we want to hear you preach. We love to hear you preach. Listen, we want to do that. I had a message lined up now for 2 weeks, but just different things. When things happen in the world, and I think there are things that needs to be put out there and it needs to be put on the front burner, then we're going to do that. But it doesn't mean we're going to neglect that. We're going to do that. We're still going to preach. We're still going to teach, and we're going to equip, but we're also going to inform as well. That's what we do here at End Time Headlines. And again, we appreciate you coming on here today. Let me pray for you guys before we head out this weekend, and we will be signing off, and we'll come back on here and see you guys on Monday. Lord, I thank you for our partners, supporters, and those that may be joining us for the first time. I pray that you bless all those that are here with us today, listening today or watching today or both. I pray that you bless them. May you prosper them. May you keep them. May your countenance shine upon them. May your favor be with them in all that they do. May your angels be loosed on their behalf to hedge them, protect them, and keep them in all of their ways. And they're coming in and they're going out. Lord, I bind every assignment of hell off of their families, off of their marriages, off of their health, off of their ministries, off of their businesses, and all that they have. And I ask that, Father, that a breakthrough would come in their home and to their lives. And we thank you for these things. And it's in Jesus' name. And all God's people said amen and amen. All right, guys. God bless. We'll see you on Monday.